Do you want to know the best system for changing bad habits? I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach habit training through the lens of self-government. I've been teaching parents and children all over the world for many, many years, starting way back when I was a young mom and did treatment foster care for troubled teens, how to govern themselves using certain skills and principles of self-government. And that's what we're talking about in this video. So in this video, we're going to talk about habits and what makes a really great habit and what is needed to form a new habit. And then I'm going to tell you what I have to offer to make your habit training for you and your family easier. Habit training is very powerful. In fact, all of your people who really do great in sports or in any of their academic pursuits, people who are constantly finding new solutions for the world, those are people who usually create very productive, good habits for themselves. In fact, I think I am kind of naturally drawn toward habit formation because of my strong-willed nature. Many people who are strong-willed like to get in a routine, they like their habits, they like to follow through. It does become difficult when a strong-willed person wants to change their habits, however, because then they have to come up with a new system. But if they like systems like I do, then they probably get excited about pushing themselves in a new direction. Well, I started reading about habits just very recently. Someone referred this book to me called Atomic Habits, and it's by author James Clear. The person referred this book to me because they said, Nicholeen, you would love it. You would absolutely love it because you are doing it. You are teaching people how to change their habits. So hopefully one day I can meet James Clear and we can have a nice little conversation about habit training and about self-government, because it is true. I have been teaching people how to transform their habits for a lot of years now, and the stuff that he teaches in this book actually aligns with my book and my courses really well. So what does James say that you should do? Well, Mr. Clear says that what you should do is you should first get a firm understanding of who you are and make sure that you tell yourself all the right messages about who you are so that you don't damage your identity, because as you are deciding to form a new habit, this is formed out of identity. He also talks about the importance of systems and creating a system that is workable that can replace the old system. Every habit is part of a system that you create for yourselves, and that's totally true. Whether it's a good habit or a bad habit, it's a system. And what you have to do is you have to pick up the one system and say, I'm not going to use that anymore, and put another system in its place. That's the only way to make a habit truly stick. How do you create great habits for you and yourself? Create systems that work. Now, for many people, it's kind of a burden to come up with the new thoughts, the new words, the new systems for solving all of their behavioral problems or those habits and relationships that seem to get in the way. But that's where I come in, because I actually have all the skills and principles that have been tried and tested for habit formation for many, many years. Years ago, when I was a teen and I was very strong-willed, I didn't get along with my parents. And a trusted neighbor said to me, Nicholeen, have you ever thought of just saying okay to your parents? And I thought she was kidding me. I told her, no, that would never work. That's what they want me to say. Because remember, I'm strong-willed, slightly oppositional, right? And so she says, no, Nicholeen, really? How about every time they tell you to do something or not to do something, just say okay and be okay? She was telling me I could choose to be okay. That is a very hard thing. I told her it would not work. She told me to go home and try it, and she challenged me. So I went home and I decided to say okay and be okay every time my parents told me to do something or not to do something. And you know what? My life changed. I got to go to parties. I got to go out with friends. I got to do all kinds of stuff that I was not being allowed to do because my parents didn't have trust in me. I wasn't understanding cause and effect in our relationship, and I thought it was up to them to give me freedom, when in reality, I could take the freedom myself if I changed the habit of the way that I was communicating with them. And my wise neighbor knew that. and I will forever be grateful for that. So anyway, I changed my habit, and then when I started doing treatment foster care for troubled teens for multiple years, I learned multiple other habits, and some of those skills or habits were skills that had been used at high-level places of care, like Boys Town, where they're working with really troubled youth. Now, my therapeutic treatment care home was actually used for children that would have to go to a place like Boys Town if they did not succeed in my home first. And I was very successful, which is why people started asking me to be on TV programs and to film my family and to have me write books about parenting. What did I learn? What key skills? Well, they gave me a whole book of skills or habits that I could adopt, but I recognized that it all started with just 4 basic skills. And a couple of these skills were skills that I had taught myself when I was young, thanks to my neighbor. There are 4 basic skills that I teach in my Teaching Self-Government, or TSG, parenting course for parents to teach to their children, but just so you know, the skills are for everyone. Those skills are how to follow instructions, accept no answers and criticism, accept consequences, and disagree appropriately. Now, I'm going to teach some of those skills to you, but before I do, click the subscribe button now. There are so many videos on this channel dedicated to learning the systems of self-government and habit training, and for understanding more who you are and the people around you are as well, so that you can better change your habits and your relationships. So let's talk about some of these 4 basic skills. These 4 children's books each teach one of the 4 basic skills to children. Now, I know an adult might not get too excited about reading 4 children's books, and I do have an adult book called Parenting a House United that you could look at that will also teach the 4 basic skills, because they really are for everyone. There are so many parents that don't know how to follow their own instructions. They keep making the same mistakes when they tell themselves not to. That means they're not following their own instructions. There are also people who don't accept no answers well. They get upset every time things don't go their way. Or people who don't accept consequences of their own behavior. They get mad or they make excuses when they were the ones that woke up late. Or people who can't disagree appropriately. They don't know how to express themselves or seek understanding with other people who might think differently than them. In fact, if you think of the majority of the problems in our society, they actually all come down to one of these 4 basic skills. So let's talk about some of these skill sets. Let's talk right now about accepting no answers and criticism. This is a very common one that leads people to anger or frustration, or maybe even making excuses. In order to accept a no answer, that means you look at a boundary line you won't cross, or maybe something you hoped for that you didn't get, or maybe somebody gives you a no. Whatever it is, those are all no answers. Now, what you do is you look at the person or situation, you keep a calm face, voice, and body, and then you say okay or ask to disagree appropriately, and then drop the subject. Those are the 4 steps to accepting a no answer, or choosing not to cross over a boundary line that we know we don't want to. Say you have a habit to, viewing something like pornography, or maybe taking a substance or drinking too much, then you are going to want to master accepting a no answer so that you do not cross over that line. You give yourself a no, and when you see the no is there, you keep calm about it. You say, okay, I'm not crossing over that line, and then you drop the subject. You don't think about it anymore. That's how a person changes the habit. Now, another thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to give yourself an instruction right after the no answer. This is going to replace the action step you would have done if you engaged in that troubling behavior. How do you give yourself an instruction? You say, okay, now I need you to go over here away from the alcohol, or go over here away from the cigarette counter, whatever it is that happens to be the thing that plagues you, right? So you give yourself the instruction. Then comes the skill how to follow instructions. So now I'm looking at the person or the situation. I'm getting away from this thing, right? I'm walking in a certain direction. I keep a calm face, voice, and body about it. And then I say okay, or I ask to disagree appropriately, I guess with myself. And then I do the task immediately. So I actually walk to wherever it is that I need to walk to, and then I check back. So I tell myself, I did it. I actually walked away from something that was tempting to me. and now I am doing something else. And you can even praise yourself and reward yourself for doing the right thing. So this brings me to other skills of self-government. So there's the 4. We've talked about 2 of the 4, but there are 5 skills that I also teach in my TSG parenting course for parents that would be applicable to also habit training yourself. One of those is correcting yourself. So when things don't go right, you may want to correct yourself in order to bring yourself back on track. In fact, a person who is truly ready to change their habits is usually humble enough to accept correction from themselves and from other people as well. Hopefully you can choose to have that humility and choose to accept a correction from yourself or from other people, maybe somebody who you're asking to check up with, so that you can accomplish your habit training as well. There are more things that I could go into, but I think understanding the nuts and bolts of these skills could be the first most important thing. The teaching self-government parenting system is actually just communication skills for life, and everyone needs to know them. In order to find out more about some of these skills and principles that might help you in your communication and your habit training, I suggest this full-length class that I have created for you. The full-length class is called The Expectation Trap versus the Cycle for Success. In this class, you will learn how you fall into traps of habits that you do not want to repeat again and again, and then also what skills you can utilize to create a cycle for success instead of that expectation trap. Go to the video, The Expectation Trap versus the Cycle for Success now, and I will see you there.